First thing, I think I forgot a shout out to John the last few days. The day I got back into town, Monday the 23rd, John was at the famous Bill Tate's table in Bally's, and the three of us chatted for a few minutes. Detroit Tigers fan John. Nomad, is that my pool? Is that my hotel? Something else Austin requested was more about game selection. So it depends how you play, what the best game is for you. A lot of people will say, oh, that's the best game in the room. And what they mean is like, it's the wildest, or it would be the most entertaining to watch if you had whole card cameras and you were at home watching, you know, a live stream or like a final table on ESPN or something. It's not that the wildest game is the best game for everyone on the planet. I actually struggle a little against the extremes, people who are incredibly loose. And I mentioned one guy we called Cypress. Well, I was the only one who called him that. I mentioned him in a nickname video last year in Council Bluffs. He played a lot at the Horseshoe Baltimore, and it was just incredibly wild and incredibly unpredictable, and I lost a ton of hands against him. I don't remember winning one hand against that guy. It took me a while to figure out I'm just not great against that style. I'm also not great against the other style. There's a guy in Council Bluffs who, he pretty much has two lines he takes. He either check calls every street or he bets 10 every street. His sizing never changes. When those are your only two options and you never check raise and you never do anything different with sizing, it's difficult to put you on some type of a hand. It's like there's two options and he's totally balanced, because most people have like many options. There are leads for different sizes. There are check calls, there are check raises, there are check folds. There's like check call, check raise, shove. He either check calls every single street or he bets 10 every single street, and it's real tough to know if he's strong enough that he won't fold, or if you could put a bluff in and get him to fold. I'm not kidding, like with the absolute nuts, he'll just bet 10, 10, 10, and it's real tough to know when is a good time to put a bluff in. So I have some difficulty against the extremes, like really tight passive and really loose aggressive. And I've said before, I think if 0 is the worst table you've ever seen in terms of action and 10 is the wildest, I'm usually looking for like a 7. It's not the same for everyone. You have to decide for yourself. A friend of mine who's in town right now, we call him Herbs and Rye. He's the first person who told me about that steakhouse. I didn't know it existed until he invited me, so that's his nickname. The best table for him is a lot different than the best table for my style of play, and everyone should have something slightly different. So when people at the table say, oh, that's the best game in the room, best for what? Best for whom exactly? It's an incomplete thought. So a lot goes into game selection, and it takes time to know what you're good at, what you're bad at, and the characteristics of your opponents, how you can exploit them, how they can exploit you if they're good at it or if they're trying at all. So I know now what the best game for me is, and it took me a while to figure that out, but now I know, and it's not the same for everybody.
Yeah, I got it at the stadium in May.